Alexandre, I want to thank you very, very much for letting me into your beautiful home.
Well, thanks for coming, Lee.
You know, I see so many homes, and this home has a lot of character. It really, really does. I don't even know where to begin. For most of you who know, Alexandre is a French dragon on the French version of the Dragon's Den, and but he's also a serial entrepreneur, and business person, and now investor.
Exactly, I invest in companies essentially in media, technology, and entertainment. I've had several successes with businesses in the past, and I'm also very fond of art, as you can see from all the art that's surrounding us while we speak.
Yes, I mean, hopefully we'll get some screenshots, but it's amazing. I mean, the art it's different, it's daring, and you're definitely not afraid to express things that have a meaning to you. Now, is there a particular reason? I have to ask, because there's no way that somebody who comes through this house isn't going to ask from a design art perspective. What is your fondness for animals?
Well, you know what? I'm not sure we totally understand why we like animals so much, but yes, there are a lot of animals on either pictures or there's a lot of taxidermy involved. It initially began as an interesting piece we acquired, and little by little we started building our collection, and we realized after maybe 20 pieces that there was a link. And a lot of it...
20 pieces? It took you 20 pieces to realize the link? It took me 2. I walked right in. I saw the stuffed wolf. Was it a wolf or a coyote?
It's a coyote, yeah. Now that...
and the rhino, and I said, yes, there's a link here.
We're very fond of animals. I think it talks about our own mortality, the relationship humans have over animals. I say over instead of with animals. Because I mean, I'm not sure we respect them as much as we should, and a lot of people think that they don't go to heaven. So I don't understand why animals wouldn't go to heaven and we would go to heaven. So we either go together or we don't. How about that?
I agree. So tell me a little bit about this mortality and this relationship with mortality. Have you had a near-death experience? Have you? Because it seems that it's not just your relationship with animals, you're showing dead animals in many cases. So is it something that relates to yourself, to your person, or?
Well, I'm not sure the pieces of art are really showing dead animals. They're in situations where they seem to live, but obviously they're photographed or they're stuffed. But there's like an eternity sense to it, right?
Right.
A sense of eternity. I've had my issues like everybody. I came very close to dying in a car accident when I was...
That's not like everybody.
Well, I mean, we're all facing tough situations
yes.
in life, and in my case, it was at 20 years old. I got into a car accident and 4 people died. I was driving, and it changes your perspective on life, and it brings a lot of I'd say.
Humility?
Humility, yeah, it's the right word. A lot of humility. You understand that you're mortal, that you're on Earth for a very short period of time, and you might as well try to enjoy life. And enjoying life is one thing. Enjoying life while you work, and that's what I've been aiming at all my life. I always wanted to do something I enjoyed doing while working. So. I personally believe that when you do something you like, you're passionate about, you're going to succeed. Success comes from passion. It's not the other way around. And that's very important.
And wealth comes from innovation.
Wealth comes from innovation, from entrepreneurship. And so we need to make sure we build more entrepreneurs. We help them achieve their individual goals.
So is that one of your purposes, I guess, to help?
Well, obviously the fact that I'm on the Dragons is directly related to the promotion of entrepreneurship.
That aspiration of yours to encourage,
mentor. To make sure that a 12-year-old is going to at least consider becoming an entrepreneur.
So tell me about your kitchen. Tell me about what inspired your kitchen. About your cooking. Tell me what you do in the kitchen. Well, what's a typical meal? What do you make?
Well,
How many people?
You know what? My wife says that all the time. I've been with Debbie 15 years, and she probably never ate the same thing twice.
Come on.
Yeah, I have a
Who taught
few
you how to
favorites. Self-taught, really, from eating in great places.
Your mother? Does your mother know how to cook?
She's getting better.
You inspired your mother to improve. That's
You know
cute.
what? I think
really
it's probably the case. Yes.
That's
and,
hysterical.
The fact I like.
She over here a lot?
We get to see each other, monthly or so. Yeah.
And she gets to eat one of your meals.
Oh yeah.
I want to hear about the meal. So tell me about the meal. How many people are typically over?
Well, I would say that a typical evening, a Friday evening here, we will host maybe 12, 14 people, plus the kids. The kids are
Wow.
always invited, and we always have the same food for the kids. There's no way we'll only do pogos or hot dogs, and so they manage to eat everything I cook. So typically, I mean, soups. I have a Thermomix, a very special machine that cooks my onions, for example, and then I'll put in veggies or whatever, and I'll use the very high speed mixer, which allows me to create very velvety soups.
Really?
In
What
no
soup?
time.
Tell me about the soup. What's your favorite soup? What's your favorite soup?
Well, it's really hard for me to pick one, but
One of
there
your
will be a
favorite
lot of
soups.
spices. I always use a lot of spices that I will burn over the oven first to make sure that all the flavors are coming out before I throw the spices in the soup mix.
Because cooking is art too. You like art. You like cooking, which is an art.
Well, I'm certainly not an artist from an art perspective.
From a culinary perspective,
But
you seem to be.
I'm pretty fluent. I'm pretty fluent, that's for sure.
So, would you have a favorite dish? People want to know. What are you gonna make for dinner? What are you making for Halloween?
Well,
are you
last
having
night,
a party for Halloween?
Yeah, we're gonna have a suckling pig. So we're gonna roast a pig. We're gonna have oysters and. But I like my meat. I'm not very good at cooking fish. I realize that. So when I go to restaurants, I'll usually cook the fish myself. I'll usually, pick the fish on the menu.
My goodness, imagine.
Yeah.
I know you're a celebrity, but can you really walk in and tell them, step aside,
Yeah.
I'm making the fish?
No, I'm not. I'm not very good at that. But I'll typically.
You probably get your way.
I have a good relationship with a lot of
The
chefs in
patrons would
Montreal.
find it very
Yeah.
interesting too. You walk in, you take over. And what about the rest of this house? What inspired you to purchase this home?
Well,
Because it's not what you would expect,
yeah,
right?
we really like the street. This is a bungalow that was built in 1955, and it needed a lot of help, a lot of love. And so we came in, we dismantled the whole house, and we added 2 aisles. So we bought an interesting piece of land. We're very lucky to be, 7 minutes away from the old Montreal. And we have 30,000 square feet, which is an interesting
Huge.
lot. Yeah,
Huge.
you try to find that in Paris or in New York.
No.
It'd be very, very hard.
No. But you walked in, and it was probably a lot of small rooms, right? If it's an older house.
Yeah, well, our
I would
kitchen
assume.
was essentially the bedrooms were there, and there were 4 bedrooms, and the garage
In the
was
kitchen?
In the kitchen. Yeah.
Well, there you go. It's exactly as I said.
Exactly.
So you had to have a real vision for this. Who had the vision? You or your wife?
Well, you know what? I decided to buy the house. My wife was in the hospital giving birth to our second kid, my daughter Daphne, and I bought the house on the same day Daphne was born. I wanted to move quickly. I really liked the place, and I asked René Desjardins, the designer, to come see it to make sure I wasn't making a mistake.
He does amazing work.
Yeah, he's a
Outstanding.
great friend, and
Amazing
remained.
designer.
We get to see him, every quarter or so. We still eat together, which is not always the case when you're working with a designer. Sometimes relationships can turn sour. It's not the case. Absolutely not the case with René.
But I tell you, if you're a good
friend.
cook, you want to stay friends with you. Everybody wants a good meal. I mean, let's face
Exactly.
it. Thank you so much, Alexandre, Mr. Taillefer, for this wonderful, insightful interview, for being so candid and being so wonderful, and for all that you do for entrepreneurs in Quebec and worldwide.
Thank you, Leah.
Thank you. So for Montreal home readers, Toronto home readers, and Vancouver home readers, you can look forward to a wonderful, wonderful profile of Alexandre Taillefer's home and the